I am best
What do I
Choja.
do?
That's right.
What? No, did I already send this message on? So once I realized like we were trapped and like, oh, these names changed over. I didn't
Hmm.
realize they were anagrams, but I'm like, I'm definitely going to be the guy. So I like looked at them again. I was like, all right, there's one guy and two girls. I'm like, that's sort of weird because we're two guys and one. Like, so I thought about the names and still nothing came
You
out.
were working through something though. Like you
Yeah,
were, yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
just
No,
the
it's
wrong thing.
I had to yeah, I had to really work on those to get them right, but I could not get
Why not Seb
the
Ojak or
gender
something?
pair. Seb Ojak, yeah, there you go. Seb, good old Seb.
I would have liked that name. I'm just saying next in my next game life,
Yeah,
be Seb Ojak.
Seb
Ojak is
Ojak,
good. Someone
Seb
should write
Ojak.
that down.
You could be Seb Ojak in like the Wild West
Yeah, I'll
mystery,
just
but
put
then
more
also,
gibberish on
yeah,
these.
but,
Seb Ojak
but then you can be
equals
Seb
absolutely
Ojak,
nothing.
a Romulan spy in
Right.
Star Trek as well.
Entering in some guy.
Yeah.
As long as it's not Ferengi, I'm fine.
Mm.
Umogs.
Yes. Um, so yes, you all. We had ended the last session with a bit of a transitional period for you at the Dorchester House, having
Corporate double speak.
yes, uh,
You've
a
transitioned.
bit of a
Hmm.
transition, and you are Willow and Jack are up on the third floor in the ward, and you had been speaking with Timothy Bale, and he had been somewhat elusive in his description, but he had begun to sort of outline a theory of sorts about the three, at the time, missing patients who you had
Not
asked him
missing.
about. Right? He was right. They're not missing. And um, describing the the gravitational pull of of things that can pull individuals out of their trajectories into orbit. And he had been sort of diagramming this in his notebook, and had been talking to you about this just as the sun was beginning to set out the window down the hall. So you were seeing sort of the reds and yellows of the of the setting sun sort of coming down the hallway.
It's
That
a
was sort of,
sunset on our freedom.
and the trigger there,
So poetic.
exactly. But you had noticed two things. One is the orderly, I believe, who had come down and commented to you that um, it was about to be bed check, and had continued walking down the hall. But you were in sort of treating you with a particular amount of familiarity, and you noticed um, that around your around your wrists you have plastic bracelets, wristlets,
Mm.
the Dorchester House, and your name's on it. And then, as the orange and yellow of the setting sun is starting to intensify, it blots out, and the hallway sort of sinks very quickly into this sort of post-twilight grayness, almost as if the shutters were pulled down over the windows. And, sort of glancing again down the hallway toward the lounge, you see that there is no light coming from the windows down there. It appears as if the TV is still on, but or at least you think so by the flickering of the screen. But the lights appear to be insufficient to keep up with this grayness that's sort of seeped in through the windows and has taken over in the hallways. And the yellow bulbs overhead seem weak in their ability to push away the shadows. Meanwhile, down in the basement, Jacob Hess had just stepped away from his newest, closest friend in the maintenance department of the maintenance department, lead maintenance technician Svarog, who had lent him a bit of help in checking out that phone he was carrying. But he's gone back out into the hallway and is walking along. And you noted at the time, Jacob, that the hallways, which were not new, but also certainly were sort of tidy and neatly painted with white paint, are decidedly dingier at this point. And you see sort of the dirt that's built up and along the sides, in the corners where the floor meets the wall, and the cracks, these vertical cracks that run up and down the painted masoned walls. And I think for you, it's disquieting, it's disturbing, it's something that you're certainly questioning your own senses as you look around and wonder, what's changed since you were in the maintenance and service department, but perhaps not quite as jarring, but you still feel lost. The turn you took before maybe isn't there. The wall sign isn't there anymore, directing. What do you think you would do? Would you just sort of continue on in the general direction that you think?
Yeah, I think having also been in a similar situation with cracked walls before, using my Svarog Mark 1 putty knife,
Yeah.
I might be probing the holes a little bit just to see if they split apart.
Yeah. So you go over to one of them and sort of look in, and it's dark, so you can't quite make anything out on the other side. Maybe it's just a crack in the wall, but you sort of wedge this putty knife in there and sort of work it back and forth. And at first it's as if you just stuck it between two large rocks, like it has nowhere to go. It's in the middle of cement, and all of a sudden you feel it give and like pushes in further. And oh yeah, look at that, Jack with his cocktail.
Some people want the air turned down. Other people want pills.
I'm not delivering to you downstairs.
I
Sorry.
was just gonna say, I know that's not gonna happen. It gives like a softness in the wall, like rot is there, and it pushes through, and you feel sort of a gust of dry air burst through the crack in the
Okay,
wall.
Jason, we can't see the last letter. It's where is my COC? Could or should not be.
Fine.
Fine.
Dot dot dot. He just leaves it open ended, so it could
Um,
be. Where is my B?
Fine.
Fine.
No, we
fine.
love it. Keep it up. It's really good.
Sorry.
Fine. Nice.
Fine. So there's this
I don't have anybody to bring me a beverage.
yeah, self-sufficient. Hey, who knows? You may have a waiter visiting you shortly.
Oh, great.
Down in the
Oh,
there we go. But you feel this gust of dry air, stale air, and you pull the knife out, and you see that there is you pushed through on this particular crack, and there is a dim light on the other side, and you're pressed up against the wall. You're watching, and you see that the light actually is moving. You thought it was maybe sort of flickering, but it's getting closer and growing in intensity. You're sort of peering through this crack, and maybe it seems almost as if it's maybe just an inch or two on to the other side of the wall. When there's sort of an intensity that creeps up, because you see that it's a lantern that somebody's holding on the other side of the inch or two of stone, and they've gotten close enough. You can first see the lantern sort of held in a hand as you peer down. You look across, and you see an array of shelves with these differently sized and shaped bottles, dusty on some seemingly clean and new, all of them with these little labels on them. And this figure on the other side of the wall is holding the lantern. You can't see their face. And they're standing there for a moment. And then you see sort of another eye peer up to the crack. And a voice that says, "What's your name?"
Best Choja.
Bess Choja. Ah, I ain't seen your bottle. I ain't seen it. Have you seen mine?
What's your name?
Me. What is my name? It's been so long. Lundeen. Henry Lundeen.
Dun dun dun.
Please. Can you just tell me which way to go? I've been walking for so long. Oh.
I wish I knew, Henry. I'm lost a little bit too. Can you read
Very
me some of
well.
the names on the bottles you see there?
The ones here?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. And he walks over, and he says, he begins listing off a number of names that mean nothing to you. Salazar, Donovan, Fitz Whitwer. M. Whitwer stands out to you.
Okay, I don't personally remember that, but that's okay.
That's the fellow with the ticket who you met on a gurney a number of years ago in the night
yeah,
force.
the guy who started spitting up
Mm-hmm.
parts,
Yep. Sprockets.
sprockets.
Oh, Sprocket Man.
Sprocket.
Man.
And Lundin sort of trails off, and you see, because he's walked a little bit further away from you, he's wearing this silvery fabric robe, and he has this mask, paper mache mask, sort of pulled up high on his balding head, and he sort of just begins to wander off down the row. He's still sort of mumbling the names off the bottles to himself, but I don't think it doesn't seem as if he remembers that you asked him to do it. He doesn't seem to remember that you're there.
Okay. Of the Gettys, no, Jacob passes.
No, not yet.
Okay. Not yet.
Not
Great.
yet. So make a note of that.
And Lundin was the architect guy, right?
Darabandi was the architect, hired by Lundin.
Hired by Lundin.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, so do you continue on down the hall?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Meanwhile, upstairs, so Willow and Jack, you're standing in the hallway, and Timothy Bale's still sitting there. And I realize actually you were in the lounge with him. You weren't looking down the hallway toward the lounge. You were in the lounge with him.
Jack
And-
is occupied with some small,
Some small, yeah.
some small,
Yep.
some fellow small patients.
Well, then, Willow, I'll revisit that in a moment, and Jacob, we'll continue along a little bit in the...
Okay.
Oh, no, actually, I see... Oh, wait, but now... There we go. Let's see if this is correct now. Yeah, now it's correct. So, Jack and Willow, I have to apologize. I had thought you were at Timothy Bale's room, but in fact, you were in the lounge with Bale when dusk was falling. So what you noticed, because you were standing there like looking at him, and you saw sort of the autumnal hues of the setting sun sort of come creeping into the room with a strong intensity. And then when the light went out, I don't think either of you were necessarily looking at the window at the time, but you very quickly did. And what you see past the window is another room. Another room that looks like a motel room. You know, a double bed, a desk with a typewriter, a door on the other side that has a little peephole and one of those little security sort of placards on it. A little doorway to a bathroom. Just a room
Through
with a window.
What did we see before?
The outside of Dorchester, the river flowing by. You're up 3 floors. You could see innumerable houses and little shops. And so that is not there anymore. And Bale is still sitting patiently in the chair
What kind of look is he giving us right now? Because we must be making some faces.
Is he
Um,
smirking? Is he?
Yeah.
he he's looking at you both, and you see two things. One is his eyes have narrowed and he's looking at you both very intensely, like sort of watching your reactions. And he is sort of, without looking, sort of flipping through his notebook, and picking out a new page. The other thing you notice is that as you look at him, he seems to be. His face seems to have this glow about it, and the rest of him, there's like this sort of, almost sort of shimmery, orangey aura that's around him that seems concentrated around the top of his head. And
Like a halo? Thank goodness.
a little bit like it. And he looks at you both and he says, I know that Abigail said you'd be back and that you'd need help. She made me promise that I'd help you.
Is Abigail here?
Abigail's gone on.
How could you help us?
How can I help you? I can help you. I'm pretty sure I can help you to leave. But you need to give me some time. And he stands up. I need to go to the phone. And he sort of looks confused for a moment and then turns and begins to walk out of the room. And as he walks out, you're looking down the hallway, and you see, sort of off in the far distance, down the long hallway, you see that the room to Ed Myler Wist's room, the door is opening, and there's this short, maybe like 5'1" figure that comes out. And Wist was taller, and this man is far shorter and grizzled, with his face that at the distance you can't quite tell, but either wrinkled or scarred. You aren't certain. But pull this up for you. He looks like this. And something you do also notice is the coloration of his ears
Yeah.
doesn't match the rest of his skin. You can't tell what it is at this distance, but it's definitely not Ed Wist. But this figure comes out of the room, and he turns, and he sees Bale, and he says, "Where the hell have you been? It's time." And he begins to walk down the hallway ahead of Bale.
And does the hallway look familiar to us at all?
It does-ish, except you notice a number of things. One is there are no security cameras. The decor is a mishmash of sort of what you saw earlier today and sort of institutional pinks and greens from, you can't imagine, the 1970s all the way back to the 1940s. There's the TV actually, which is going up in the corner, is this old massive tube television with sort of turn dials on it and rabbit ears coming out the top. And it had been showing a bunch of static, but then starts in, you hear in an announcer's voice come on, and a placard that comes up, and NBC Pilco Television Playhouse presents, and you see the live feed, black and white, grainy, of an old television camera, sort of showing a set, and it's sort of panning around, and you can see these backdrops. It's almost like SNL when the camera's sort of breaking away from the scene, and you can see the people, other people in production. You can see the actors, and you sort of get the impression that there's an audience there because there are a number of people sort of politely clapping in the background, and there is a moment where the one camera is looking. Here, just a moment. So the camera pans around, and you see that one of the other camera operators wheeling their camera. And I'm going to pull this up for you. Just bear with me a moment. There we go. Okay. And the camera pans around, and you see sort of a bay of other production feeds, and you see that the other camera operator is wearing this dark cloak with a mask, and the announcer's gone on, sponsored by Brill Cream, sponsored by Effervescent Tablets. Tonight we present the Yellow Phantom. And the camera pans back around and pans past the audience, and you see a number of individuals dressed up in tuxedos and evening gowns, and they're all wearing white masks over their faces, sort of politely clapping with their white gloved hands, and sitting smack dab in the middle of them, wearing a tuxedo, no mask, is Vic. And he is looking around sort of confusedly, and as the camera continues to pan past him, he sort of notices it and begins to gesture like wildly at it and is trying to like get out of his seat, and the gloved hands are pulling him back into a seated position and sort of gathering over him as the camera continues to pan past him and back to the cutout. And you see two actors in robes and masks step on and begin to you begin the presentation, which appears to be a play of some sort.
Oh
So-
man. So we saw that as we were just looking over.
Yeah, as the TV was on, and so it's playing this this televised drama for you.
So he didn't seem like he was having a great time.
Not the best time,
Okay.
is what you've gathered. All right. So what do you guys?
So Timothy, right? He was walking away from us.
Timothy was walking away from you. Tim Bale was walking down the hallway with this other figure who had emerged from Ed Wist's room. And you're looking off in the distance, and you see Dr. Dolan. Because now
okay.
Tim Bale and this other figure have sort of gone around a corner, the end of the hallway, right by the nurse's station. And you see Dr. Dolan passing the other direction, going through the doors out of the ward toward his office, and the doors to the ward stay open as he passes. And he walks
Oh, we should
through,
try and talk to him, right?
and he's heading into his office,
Dolan! We're calling out his name.
yelling down the hallway.
Yeah.
Maybe we should try to sound somewhat sane, though, if at all.
Dolan!
Dolan, my old chum.
Where you been?
He glances
Keeps
over
like
his
this.
he glances over his shoulder, and he sort of puts up a finger and just keeps walking,
What do you mean he puts up a finger?
like a hold.
Be right with you.
The
yeah.
universal gesture for just a moment.
Just a
Does he
moment.
like put a pin in it? See you tomorrow.
Yeah, he's you see also on his in his hand he has a windbreaker, and he gets to his office door. You can still sort of see it, and I don't know if you're moving in that direction right now, but he's putting on this
we're
windbreaker.
chasing that way.
All right.
So
So
like in a casual / fast.
Just a
fast-
casual sprint.
casual sprint
like
down the hallway.
like a professional looking sprint.
power walking.
A power walk.
So
We're power
he's putting on
walking.
this Boston Red Sox windbreaker, Pedroia on the back, zips it up halfway, and he is sort of saying something to himself, and he grabs the doorknob of his office door, and he opens it, and goes through. And you get up close enough, you're up to there. You can see maybe it's only through the glass at the end of the hallway. The door is open and you're about to go through it, but you can see through this glass, through the open doorway, to the hallway of the McAllister's night floors. The
Oh.
low lights, the red and black shell wallpaper, the burgundy carpeting. And you see Dolan sort of turn, and as you sort of, he's just walking along, and he has his fingers out, sort of counting on his fingers, and you see he's put up one finger. And he keeps walking down the hallway, and the door sort of clicks. And you get to the closed door of Dolan's office. And before you can even react, the office door opens, and it is Dr. Dolan's office, but there are no windows, just wall of books, wall of shelving across where
desk?
the windows was. and a very large desk.
Oh, different.
And this man wearing a white coat and with a clipboard. And he is. Ah! Oh! Well, Johnny on the spot tonight. It wasn't even. Didn't even think it was time yet for group. Well, I'd like to see the enthusiasm. Thank you. It's a positive sign, my friends.
Do we recognize this guy?
No.
Okay.
You see he has a little badge clipped to his white jacket, and it says on it just simply, Dr. Maximo Friend.
The night attending.
And he is seeming like he wants to sort of move. Do you let him pass?
I think we asked, where did Dr. Dolan go? He just.
Dr. Dolan is off duty for now. He's gone home.
Do you use his office while he's off duty?
His office? This is my office. Are we experiencing some amount of confusion tonight, Mr. Traven?
Maybe a little bit.
He sort of flips up a page and makes a note. Unfortunate. I thought we were doing so well. Well, if you excuse me, I have a few things to see to before we get to tonight's business.
What business is that again?
Oh no, we shouldn't both be confused.
The business?
I do remember. I just, for my friend who seems confused tonight, if you could remind him.
The business of understanding what's brought you here, of course.
Again, I remember why we're here, but if you could remind my friend.
The reason you're here is that you haven't been forthcoming. When you become forthcoming with me, that is when we can make progress, my dear. That is when we'll experience a breakthrough. Now, if you excuse me, and again he sort of tries to go past, do you let him?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's not push it too hard now, I think.
You could like stick your foot out.
I
And
do
try
the
and
universal
trip
sign like let through.
him. What sign is that? Can you do it one more time? Okay. I mean, please. Continue.
Please continue. Very well. Universal sign up, please continue. And he,
Anything we can grab from him that he wouldn't notice as he's walking by? Anything useful?
and so he, no, nothing that you can see.
I have 100 in pickpocketing, I think.
You,
actually,
yeah,
so.
you look around actually at this point, and you see something interesting, which is that essentially all of the doors that you can see here are either open or ajar, and there are people walking around. It seems like a number of the staff and nurses from earlier in the day are just sort of walking different places, like not going about any sort of particular business. And there's some patients that you recognize, like Dorothy Vale seems to be heading toward the lounge. But then there are other individuals, patients who you don't recognize, that are walking the halls, and you see one figure, very different from the others. Stark white hair that's sort of hanging down in shaggy hanks down past shoulders, and sort of shuffling along, sort of a little bit stooped, and they appear to be like looking, and if somebody passes by, they sort of reach out and with sort of a bit of a palsied hand, and you can hear some sort of noise, and then the person passes by and doesn't pay attention. They're sort of walking and trying to grab
We
another
see-
person's
Can
attention.
we see the face?
No.
Yeah, I don't approach anybody that has like the hair over the face. That's usually a recipe for disaster.
And I think as you're watching this scene unfold, the last thing you see is Dr. Friend, who's walked down a distance to one of the other hallways, and he pauses or turns on his heel, looks down the hallway, and you see him sort of call something out. And there's another man, who this one has to be 6'5" at least, if not taller, wearing gray scrubs, some sort of baton or something strapped to his belt, and he walks up. He's towering over Dr. Friend, and Dr. Friend's like looking up at him and talking to him, and Friend points down the hallway, and this figure turns, and you see his face, and he nods and walks down the hallway, and a moment later you hear a scream. So we'll cut to down in the basement. Down in the basement, Jacob, you are walking around for a while, still trying to find your way. When you come across a set of double doors with little windows in them, and there we are.
Don't you just love how much we split the party?
Yeah, I know, right?
Then it's so convenient for you as a GM.
It's a solid strategy every time.
You pass by the double doors, and it looks as if it is a gym of some sort, or a cafeteria. You can't quite tell. It's somewhat reminiscent of the one upstairs, but the lighting, the arrangement of it, the decoration of it is completely different. But there is there are a number of boxes scattered around on the floor, and it looks almost as if a play is being staged. There's a big prop door, and in the middle of the room, and then with a number of sort of other props and pieces, and maybe a box of costumes off to the side. And you hear, sort of through the door, not somebody you can see, but it sounds like a man reading from a script and affecting different voices. As you can't see anyone through the mirror, but it sounds as if they're sort of declaiming to the room, practicing their lines.
Okay. And this is like just a door like standing in space.
No, well, so this is in the hallway, like a double door that you're looking through the window of.
Gotcha.
On the other side, and the stage door, the prop door, is inside this cavernous gymnasium or cafeteria area.
But is the voice coming from beyond the stage door, or is it coming just from beyond the doors?
I mean, you can't really tell. It's emanating, so it's loud enough that you can hear it through the doors you're standing in.
A knock on the door.
Yeah, so you knock on the door and the voice stops. And you hear a... Hello?
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 Hello.
And then the voice begins to go back into reading the lines.
Can I make out any of the lines?
Yeah, so as you sort of stand and listen, you hear they are the shades of truth, the precursors of justice. Their presence is a proof. Lies float here, entangling us in a shadow. And then sort of a pause. What is truth? Truth. The last king is called by our vices. He is kept busy and he approaches.
I approach.
Yeah, so you
Because I am the king.
you push on the doors, and they are they're swinging doors,
Yep.
and you push them open, and what you see on the other side is just a moment. There's you walk in, and the room is, again, sort of cast in shadow in the corners. No windows in it, and just these sort of large overhead hanging spotlight fixtures. And you push in, and the voice, you can't hear it the moment you push open the door.
Okay.
And you sort of step in, and the door's swinging shut behind you, and you hear or you see a shadow all of a sudden move over near the door, the prop door, and hear this sort of hollow bamboo clacking noise as the shadow moves.
Okay, I move over towards the door and inspect both sides of it to see that it doesn't go anywhere, like there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, so you get closer to the door, and you see again sort of the shadow moving. The door actually is, again, sort of this painted door, this flat, and so you can look on the back side of it, look on the front side of it. As you're looking to either side, you hear this clacking noise, and you turn and you see the shadow that moves sort of off to the side, maybe about 15 feet away from you, is humanoid but sort of unnaturally gangly. And you
Pull out my trusty spatula.
Yeah, you pull out your trusty spatula, and you hear all of a sudden a loud voice as you're standing on the front side of the door. A voice coming from the other side of the door. 10 minutes, de Craig! And the voice goes silent. Again, you looked on the other side. You know there's nothing there. But you know that also the door is, like, openable, too.
Yeah, hold on a second. Scanning for DeCraig.
Yep.
Craig. Into Craig. There we go. Okay. He was the guy. I can't make this out right now.
De Craig, yes. He was a sponsor. So Ian de Craig, prisoner 112-5-101. I think you came across him. He was involved in some of the perhaps as a figure who was active in sort of Chicago business back in the sort of turn of the century, so around 1901 and thereabouts. I think you would come across this name as well in relation to some other corporate holdings that you had been investigating.
Like Star and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay. I open the door.
So you put your hand on the knob and you sort of twist the handle, and as you do, you hear this clattering noise again, and it's louder, like it's moving toward you, and the lights overhead begin to flicker out of sequence, one off, one on, one off, one on, one off, one on, and as you sort of push open the door, you hear and see some clattering wooden figure that is 8 feet tall, strings like corded rope leading up to the ceiling, and this painted face that is like an awful angry clown rushing in your direction from the
Always gonna be
darkness.
clowns.
No.
And
No.
you see sort of one of the limbs is coming up and sort of wobbling on the rope in your direction, and you see on the other side of the door that there is a gray hallway ahead.
Okay. I slash at the cords that are coming towards me with my Svarog Mach 1.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if anything happens, or if it's just actually a putty knife.
Then give me a let's see, what is this? Melee weapons.
What did you just pull out of that closet?
He's Svarog. Oh, we can't hear you, Chris. Oh, nope, Chris, you're on mute.
Yeah. Doesn't everybody have a short sword at the ready?
I mean,
No?
you
I think let
probably
me just
should in
check
this game.
back here. I think there's a few.
I have a foil, but that's as close as I get. Sticking with the boogie end.
It is
You want me
kind
to
of.
So Jacob, you you slash at the rope. Make a melee weapons test.
Oh, this is gonna be wonderful. Hey,
Whoa!
Oh,
So this this arm
oh yeah.
comes sort of swinging out at you, and you slash with this putty knife. And as you do, make a sanity test for me.
oh. Say it right after I close the character sheet.
Yeah.
A little bit more. Well, not that much. Sorry. Doing this on a laptop.
Oh.
Not.
Sorry, Willow. Do we think of him and try to rescue him if given the opportunity?
Oh.
Are we,
I mean, we said we'd give him like what, 15 minutes. If he didn't come back, we would be concerned. I
apparently-
feel like it's been probably at least 15.
could be 15 minutes and 30, 80 years. Who knows?
That's right.
You Jacob, you slash out with this cavalry saber, and it slices through, clean through this this rope, this blackened rope that is holding this arm aloft, and there's a spray of this red arterial liquid from the two ends of the rope as they sort of spin around like a cut hose. And some of it sort of spatters in your direction on the door, on the wall, and this thing shrieks and backs off for a moment, and then comes swinging in toward you, on top of you. Do you?
I duck and try to run through its legs.
Yeah. So not through the door, but away.
Like through past him towards the hallway.
Yeah. You duck through his legs, and the thing
I don't know
is.
why I thought that would work.
Is clearly it tumbles and crashes into the prop door and obliterating it, and the lights are still flickering out, but one by one they begin to wink out as you slam into the swinging doors of the exit and make it through the other side, and you turn around. And there's featureless wall behind you. Yeah. And you hold in your hands this saber that is coated with red ichor. It's not blood. It's some other sort of oily substance that's sort of dripping off onto the floor. And you aren't sure if it's evaporating, but it seems to be sort of diminishing rather than just pooling in some way. And upstairs, Jack and Willow, you see that this hulking 6'5" figure has grabbed some individual, some patient, you aren't sure, and is right now dragging them, kicking and screaming, following behind Dr. Friend as Dr. Friend begins to head down another section of hallway.
So, Willow, what should we do?
Oh my god.
We
Go
need
to
cut
the
hair.
cafeteria.
I am not eating or drinking anything. I'm not calling anybody on any phones.
No phones, no food.
I'm not sitting on any toilet. I'm not doing anything.
No.
That last part might have sounded crazy, but I'm still here.
It's a solid plan. I don't know, we should go after the tall guy? Follow?
I mean, are park rangers, experienced in hand-to-hand combat? I mean, I could probably take him, but
No, let me see what skills I have.
I mean, we didn't recognize the person we were driving off, right? Or was it too far away for us to see?
So that's a great point. You see that he has grabbed someone, and as you look more closely, you recognize the individual, and you hear being called down the hall.
Yes, please.
I'm a fucking federal agent. Let go of me. Let go of me.
Yes, please. All right, so Willow, got check. Do we try to? That might be somebody who we can work with. All right, she's taking too long. I'm running after.
Sorry, I was muted, but yes, I said I think so, yes.
So you start to run down the hallway.
I'm going-
Misery loves company, right?
You start to
Well,
run.
on one
Yeah.
hand-
In one hand, you could.
There's no Colin and the Night Floors, and then there's the tall guy and the yeah.
So you start running after this figure who's dragging Michael Whitwer down the hallway, kicking and screaming, and you see there are a set of other
Like a
orderlies.
smirk, though, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
You see, yeah, he was not smirking in this moment. You see there are a number of orderlies, not the ones you recognize from during the day, but dressed in these sort of gray scrubs like this tall figure, who are waiting sort of passively by this gurney, and they Whitwer is dragged close enough to the gurney, and the rest of the orderlies pounce and begin to sort of pull him up onto the gurney and strap him down to it. And
Is
this
there
is
anything-
the same gurney that you recognize.
Can we see anything that we can grab to sort of even a chair maybe? To, I mean, how many orderlies are there?
There are 5 of them standing there.
Oh boy.
I think I was about to swing, and then I'm like,
Yeah, because as the other orderlies have taken Whitwer, this tall one turns and looks at you, and you see him reach to his belt, and you see that this baton he had is actually appears to be a sawed-off baseball bat
Oh my god.
that
Is it signed by Pedroia?
he has on a loop at his belt, and he sort of growls under his breath. And Dr. Friend looks over from his clipboard. Now, Mr. Ed, I don't think there'll be any trouble tonight. That's all right. Right, Mr. Travern. No trouble tonight? Universal gesture of not getting involved. Fantastic. Well,
lots of ruck to.
Mr. Whitwer is being transferred tonight. But before he goes, I think it'd be a shame, a real shame, if we didn't. And he sort of hands the clipboard off, and Mr. Ed is standing menacingly sort of between you and Whitwer. Friend sort of reaches into his pocket and pulls out this large syringe. And he moves
I really
toward
wanted to rescue him.
Whitwer.
I mean, we tried. We put in a lot of
Put in a
effort.
solid effort.
We like moved 5 feet down the hallway.
We almost picked up a chair, so. That's,
So he, I mean, we know it's gonna.
hey! Yeah, we did.
And so you get closer, and well, I mean, you're close enough. You see that he has this, like I said, this enormous old-fashioned, sort of with the two-finger plunger.
This is Friend that has
Friend has it. It's empty. It's actually empty. There's nothing in it. It's depressed right now. He sort of takes it, brings it in his hand, and he says, Now, Mr. Whitwer, this will only take a moment. And he nods at the orderlies, and they sort of hold Whitwer's head. And
How close can we get without looking?
you're about 5 feet away, 5-6 feet away at most. And he slowly brings the needle down, and it looks from where you are that he's inserting it right around somewhere close to Whitwer's left eye. He's sort of pushing it in, and Whitwer is making this sort of strangled noise right now. He says, "There we are. That ought to do it."
A universal gesture of I do not want this to happen.
And he begins to slowly pull up on the syringe plunger, and the syringe begins to fill with this glowing, reddish fluid, like an oily substance that seems to be moving inside of the syringe. And he's full. There we are. And he turns kind of to Mr. Ed. The Potsu is extremely potent tonight. This is an excellent sign. I think we're going to do good work tonight. And he hands the syringe off to one of the orderlies, who sort of takes it and sort of puts it on this nearby cart and begins to wheel it away. Well, I think this is fine for now. Mr. Ed, if you could see to Mr. Whitwer's transfer. And he turns to you. Mr. Travern, Ms. Barnett, I believe you have an appointment with Group. I expect I'll see you there. And he turns and walks off down the hallway in the direction of the cart.
Come again?
So what's Whitwer doing right now? Is he sort of slumped over now?
Yeah, they aren't, he's held to the gurney, but his head is sort of loose right now, and his head flops over, and he looks in your direction as he's being wheeled away, and his eyes sort of widen a bit, and they wheel him around the corner.
We have an appointment with Group, he said.
Mm-hmm.
So, can we follow him around the corner, or is it too obvious? At some point, we gotta be, I think, more brave. But I'd like to.
I'll create a diversion.
Yeah, let's separate. I'm sure that'll go well. All right, so go ahead.
You start to head in that direction, around the corner.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the syringe, like Michael Whitwer's probably like a done deal, but it might be too tough to follow the 6.5 foot guy and the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Willow? We're doing really quick.
Go for it, man.
Which way? Follow Whitwer?
Yeah.
All right. So,
I'm curious about where they're taking him next.
So, what song do you choose for your diversion?
Oh boy. What year is it?
I mean, it was 2015, but it's all fungible.
Who knows now? Yeah.
Let's see. Songs from
fungible.
2015.
So you have to go with a classic then.
Oh, Hotline Bling. There you go, 2015. I know when that hotline bling. It can only mean one thing.
So
and there I go. Just start.
You start getting into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you're singing this to distract who again?
Anybody who's watching?
I was trying to draw more attention so he could be a little sneakier following the gurney.
Gotcha.
But if it's like 5 people and then the 2 people, you could be just singing to like all the other crazies in the neighborhood.
Well, and so Willow, you start to sing, and then you
Yeah.
feel a hand on your shoulder, and you you turn, and it's that elderly figure, who
Poppy.
you had recognized, or not, you didn't recognize, but you had seen just moments before, and the hair is sort of covering most of the face and hanging down. It's fairly like, tall-ish, mostly kind of average height, but kind of hunched over, so it's a little hard to tell. Like, clearly elderly. And you see, like, the skin is wrinkled and relatively thin, but like they had, at one point been fairly like strong, like able, and they come over and the patting you on the shoulder, and you turn and you see their face, and looking at you, and he's going, not here, like trying to say something.
Don't lean in closer.
And he's making like a gesture to like write something, like the universal gesture for "Do you have a writing implement?"
Thank you. Do I? I frantically check my pockets.
Yeah, you have
and
you
I
have a little
find-
pad and
Yeah, I
a pen,
absolutely find a pen. Yeah.
and the elderly man begins to like hurriedly like write on the postcard or on the page, and like turns it to you, and it's just like squiggles. He's like holding it out and like shaking it.
And I make the universal gesture for like, could you be more specific? Like what?
Uh, and and it's like looking at you and Jack and and
He
you know
wants to tell us something. What is it?
We're gonna push the hair away from his face. Does he let us do that? So we can.
you make a move towards him and he sort of backs away.
I sort of like this. Like, can you show me? What are you trying to tell me? Show me.
Look a little ravish. Like,
You see, and so then you hear you hear a voice, and it's that man who had emerged from Ed Wist's room with the odd ears, and he is behind
he is
you,
not good news.
and he says, "No one ever understands Sunflower. Better off talking to a wall."
What do we know about Sunflower? Remember that was mentioned before? I'm pretty sure my notes just say Sunflower.
Sunflower. Look, Bale wants to see you. He says he has something to show you and he's ready. If you are.
Where is he now?
In his office.
His
Hey,
office?
he has an office?
Doing his business. His
His
work.
business?
His work.
Does he? Okay. Can you show us to his office?
Yeah, sure.
You were supposed to follow the gurney. I was pushing the hair away. You were gonna.
The name's
I feel like
Wild,
this-
by the
this
way.
might be good, and I actually think we should stick together if we want to survive longer.
I think you're right. Okay. He's showing us to the office.
Name's Wild, by
Really?
the way. In case you need anything done
You said
around here.
Wild?
Wild. Yeah.
Have we
Mr.
met
Wild.
before?
I think I'd remember you. I tend to remember people. Yeah. But if we're all here, if you're here, that means you've been touched by the king. Like me, like everyone else here.
Is that why we're here?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're either here or you're somewhere else, but
I don't know
like
any
a
of the
like a
different-
fly in a web. Does it matter what strand you're stuck to? Does the fly care? Nah, half these flies don't care. They'll stick here.
We
They'll
care.
be stuck forever, banished here in the night. And he's walking with you down another hallway. What's that?
You should say something, Jason.
Nope.
Can I ask him how long have you been here?
Me? He says, I won't be out of here till I find my bottle.
Find your what?
Do you find your
My
way?
bottle.
You
Which
don't have that wisdom yet, right?
No. No. That's what they say. You find your bottle, you get out. I mean, honestly, I feel like the only way anyone gets out of here is you gotta you gotta find your way to the king and receive judgment. Like all these mooks in here who think there's some easy way out. Find your bottle, get through. Idiot Dr. Friend over there thinks he has his own way out, his ticket through. Nah. You gotta go to the center of the web. You gotta go to the spider. You gotta
Have you
see
tried
the
that
king.
before?
Nah, I got stuff to do here. I'm needed. And he walks up to an odd part of the hallway where there are these, at this point it's this odd flooring with this faux deer head on the wall, and you think that he's going to walk up and open one of these doors, but instead he sort of reaches over and like pulls open partway in the wall, and there's this sort of yellowish light behind it. He pulls it open, and on the other side is a room that's just stacked with books on the floor. A couple piles seemingly up to the ceiling, most of them waterlogged. And there's this single old, like, black Bakelite phone sitting on a stack, and Timothy Bale is sitting on another stack nearby, holding the phone to his ear. And he's in the midst of sort of talking intently into the phone as he pages through this notebook in front of him. And you hear him say, no. During the raid, you'll see them again. No. Look, come on. It's very clear. Okay, fine. And he sort of hangs up the phone. And immediately, as soon as he hangs it up and begins ringing again, he picks it up. What? Yeah, 20. 20 children. Yeah, leave them all in the water. Look, don't ask me. Click. And he puts it down.
20 children
In the water.
Okay.
What's that?
Just making sure I understood what he said.
Leave them in the water. And rings again. Uh-huh. Yeah, no, they go to the apartment, and that opens the way. You need to make sure that it's on the wall behind a sheet. Yeah. Get Labalus will find he'll find the radio, and then she's gonna take it from him and put it on the wall. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, bye. Click.
He really sounds like part of the problem.
He does, doesn't
I
he?
whisper to you really quietly.
I
And
make the universal gesture for I agree with your assessment.
and he turns and he sees you both, and the phone is ringing, but he says, "Oh, hey, Wild, yeah, thank you for bringing them. You two, here, I have something to tell you, related to what we were talking about before."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
And Wild sort of seems reluctant, but drifts off. He says, "Yeah, I got the information I needed. We just need to pick up your other friend, and we can be on our way. And the phone continues ringing. Bale gives it one last look as if he's like tempted to pick it up, but he sort of just scratches his head, and you see that he has a Cheshire Cat tattoo on his neck, on one side. But he says, "Come on, we got to be quick about it. Wild's going to be coming back around, and Dr. Friend is going to be frantic looking for you both. I think it's best if we get out of their way."
Which friend do you want us to get?
Jacob. Jacob's here. And you follow him to an elevator bank. But it's not the same as the elevator bank you remember from before. It's older, almost like a 19th century hotel elevator with the grates in front of it. And he pulls open the grates and he gestures for you both to go inside. And he steps in after you. And gets in and pushes. There's a single button. He pushes the button, and the interior grates close, and you begin to descend. Jacob, in the basement, you are walking along when you hear sort of the chatter of voices, and you walk on further, and there's a large door that's open, and inside it's this room that's been painted with this horrifying pink paint, and has these pea soup green chairs and like these harsh like yellow fluorescent lights on the ceiling.
I haven't seen anything this bad since working in the East.
That's right. It brings you back, and you see inside that there's sort of a semicircle of chairs with some individuals sitting in them, and a couple people standing. And all of a sudden you hear the click, 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 click of like heels on like wooden shoe heels on stone tile, and you see coming down the hallway a figure with a little gray goatee wearing a white jacket, and he appears to be followed by this hulking individual who's almost having to like lean over to fit in the hallway down here, the clearance. This large figure dressed like an orderly. And the individual in the white coat comes up and he says, Mr. Hess, right on time. Better than your compatriots, it seems. If you'd be so kind. And he gestures to the door.
To the door? Or
The door heading into the room. Yeah.
Sure, I go into the room.
Very well, very well.
Sorry, can we pause for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Sorry, out of game, like, do we have this simultaneous knowledge, or are we playing it? Yeah.
No.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you, so you go in, Jacob, and you sit in one of these pea green chairs, and everyone seems subdued now that these two figures are in the room. And you sit down in one of the chairs, and this tall figure sort of stands in front of the door and clicks a lock on it. And he says, very well, if everyone can have a seat. As we know, we are here to achieve breakthroughs. And he sits in his chair, and he turns to one of the figures in the chair. Mary, are you considered sometimes by others to be a spoilsport? And sort of Mary mumbles some answer about, yeah, she thinks so. He turns. The doctor doesn't appear to be listening. He turns, but he's writing down. Tom, did you ever believe something or someone was out to get you? And Tom says no. Ethan, when did you first encounter the play, The King in Yellow? And Ethan says, I think I was 19. What did you do with your copy? I think I lost it. Friend sort of shakes his head. Lost it. Yes, indeed. He turns to you, Jacob. Have you seen the yellow sign?
I have.
You have. Of course you have. And there is a dramatic shift in the room. And you experience sudden vertigo as the room seems to be swelling and growing, exploding outwards. And this cotton candy colored room balloons out into this huge European royal court of the 19th century, complete with a throne, a red carpet, lanterns hanging all around. Black banners are on the walls, emblazoned with the yellow sign. And this doctor now wears the sumptuous clothing of a noble. And he has on this white wig that's sort of cascading over his shoulders. And he's sitting on a golden chair next to an ornate and very empty throne. And he's speaking to you in this this language that at once you recognize and don't understand, but yet as he talks more, you can make connections with the words. And he appears to be repeating a question. And so some of the it sounds a bit like Spanish, a bit like French. And received an invitation. Excuse me, answer the question. Have you received an invitation?
Yes, I have.
Have you found your bottle?
Not quite yet.
Have you heard that the last king has come? And at this you hear sort of a murmur behind you, and you turn and you see a number of other nobles standing around wearing these masquerade masks, and they appear to be sort of snickering to themselves and laughing.
Don't laugh at me. Have I heard the last king has come? I've heard he's coming and that he's not here yet.
Obviously, we await the king. The king! The king! And all around you, you hear these figures. The king is coming. The king is coming. Do you hear? The king is coming. And there is a sudden booming knock at the door. Boom! 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 And everyone turns, and there's electricity running throughout the crowd, and they're whispering to each other. And up on the dais, the former doctor is saying, "Who dares interrupt this interrogation?" And at that moment, the door is being pulled open on this grand, enormous door is being pulled open, and just as sort of it clicks slightly open, The room shrinks back down, and you're inside the candy-colored room, with the doctor smiling at you, all as normal as it can be, and there is this disfigured-looking man sticking his head through. Excuse me, Doctor Friend. I need to see Mr. Hess quickly if he can step out. And Dr. Friend says, "Why, of course, of course." Mr. Hess, thank you for your forthrightness. Mr. Ed, and Mr. Ed stands aside, growling at you as you slip out the door after Mr. Wilde.
That place was a decor nightmare.
On so many levels. But you do, however, you don't know how much you've realized it, but you have picked up something, which is an understanding of Tartession, the language, the ancient French dialect that you have encountered a few times now, the language of Chastain, and
What's it
others.
called?
So,
Chassion?
Tartessin. And that is a language you have a 34 in.
Hold, please.
Mm-hmm.
Spell that again.
Tartessin.
Yeah.
Just want to reiterate that when you go out of focus, it's really creepy. It really adds to the atmosphere.
Phasing in and out.
Speak it almost as well as I speak Serbo-Croatian.
I
And
wish
so,
I could do the split screen
oh yeah, the split screen's good.
right about
Reach
now.
across.
That would be, yeah, that'd be a nice touch.
Just, you feel unanchored, right?
That's right.
Nobody's super in focus. One person's completely off camera, the other one's out of focus, and then
That's right.
the ringleader.
So you, Jacob, you are following this man, this Mr. Wilde. You heard his name being mentioned, and he leads you to this old looking elevator door, and you're sort of standing there for a moment in sort of silence, and then you hear the grating of machinery as the cage descends down, and you see Willow and Jack along with this other man who I don't believe you may have seen but not necessarily interacted with. I think you'd know it, yeah, more or less. I think you had seen it was Timothy Bale, and he steps out, and Mr. Wilde seems to be pausing for a moment, as if he's going to stay with you, and Bale turns to him. That's all, Mr. Wilde. Thank you for your help. I will see you back upstairs. And reluctantly, Wilde gets in the elevator and ascends. And Bale turns, and that sort of corona around his head is glowing brighter, especially in the dimness down here. And he says, "Abigail made me promise that I would help you find your way out of here, that I wouldn't let you just become one of those repeaters stuck in a loop for the rest of eternity. She wanted you to have a chance. Follow me this way." And he sort of turns and heads down the hallway. You have gained a glimpse of the world as it truly is, he says as you're walking. The play sits at the center of all things. All events, people, places issue from it, and not the other way around. It's a snake eating its tail that vomits out and devours the world. He turns and he pauses. Once you see and are shown some amount of the truth, the king sees you, and you are under his attention and sway. And there is only one way out. He begins to walk again. Through it.
What is the only way out?
Through. To Carcosa. To Carcosa.
Carcosa. How do we get to Carcosa?
It's not a place that could be reached by here. This place is like a glue trap to gather lost souls. It's not a passage. It's a dead end. You need to get free of the night world and find a direct path to Carcosa from the real world. And he sort of does finger quotations at that. When the time is right, you'll see reality will arrange itself to make that sort of transit possible.
Does Carcosa have doors?
Carcosa is a place without doors. It is a place that does not work like you expect it should. It is a place of wishes and of madness and of dreams. And it is the seat of power. It is the place where the king has his palace.
That's the way out?
I told you before, you're in his orbit, and you can either stay stuck forevermore, doomed to be locked in a dead orbit. You could be cast out to the void, or, and this is the worst of all, you could be sucked in and consumed by him. But there's one other possible way. Abigail showed me that there's a reason to hope that you can break free. You swing so close enough that you don't get consumed, and yet you're spat back out again. In any case, and he follows you. You realize at this point that you've been going through this sort of hallway area that has transitioned into a sort of mockery of the night floor that you knew before, and there are doors extending from the ceiling, and this rich burgundy carpeting that's come back out. But also, you see that there are You sort of these scalloped glass recessed lights and this golded painted trim and these plaster Greek masks that begin to appear on the walls. And you walk on further, and you suddenly find yourself in a lobby. And there's a bar off to the side, a lot like the bar from the smoking lounge. And a gong sounds, and you hear an audience applauding. And Bale sort of turns to you three and says, "This is going to be difficult, but this is the only exit. You're going to need to watch and wait till the end, and I'll tell you when it's time to move again. The exit will be nearby." And he pushes open the door, and he ushers you into this very intimate, darkened theater with an empty wooden stage that's very brightly lit. And he sort of ushers you down to the front row. And you can tell that there are other figures in here sitting, other audience members, but they're kind of a blur. And you're passing down, so it's hard to precisely make out. Do any of you sort of stop or try and look more closely?
I think so. Like, I'm definitely trying to
Yeah.
figure out if there's a moment to act, if possible.
Yeah.
Definitely trying
So-
to take it all.
So Jack, you are sort of slow for a moment. You look, and you see towards the middle of the row, Ike Marshman sitting there, rapt attention on the stage, and you. You're looking around, and he turns, and he sort of gives you a quick look, and then turns back to the stage, just concentrating on it like everyone else there. And Willow, you look out, and you see somewhere, a little bit more toward the front. You see a partial profile of someone you recognize.
Who could it be now?
If only you had made connections with more than just your sister.
And you think you see Poppy up further ahead.
I never made it to that wine date. And
Now's your chance to go to the theater with her.
She's holding
That's
a glass of
right.
wine right now.
wine date, hey-o.
And Jacob, you look out, and you see that lost Russian contact of yours
Informer.
sitting out there in the audience. And Bale he stops up, and he comes back, and he whispers to you, "You have to be in your seats before the performance starts."
Race to my seat.
Really?
I do.
Willow, do we run for it?
I'm all in. I got my Svarog.
This is the only way out. You will be stuck here.
Stuck here like Dick?
So last
Stuck
time
here
we
like
got
Dick?
when we got out of the night floors.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Were you going to answer? Go ahead.
I just want to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Lesser of two evils. I can't
I
tell.
know.
Vic is.
Sorry to interrupt.
Vic has moved on with Abigail. If you want to see him, if you want to see her, you need to be in Carcosa. They aren't stuck here. You see echoes of them all around. Reverberations of them they're throwing off from deeper. other people and memories and connections. This place reads you and spits back out what you most desire as it sits there and digests you.
So, any words of wisdom? Like, trying to huddle up a tiny bit. Like,
Well, because I was
this
going to say,
this could be the way, but I sort of-
right. Last time when we got out of the night floors, there was a literal exit sign that we followed. And so the description of what's going to happen makes sense. Like if we're looking for an exit, I don't know. I'm tempted to follow the
Yeah, just
direction.
keep in mind that Carcosa is, it's not like back to the normal world. It's
Right. I know.
hanging out with the king and people
Well, and
who
what he's saying, right,
never
is there's
here.
no way to get there from here. You need to go back, and then there'll be some way through.
You're saying
I
we
don't
have to
know.
watch the show as well.
Are you tempted to run?
I am not. I am going to watch the show.
He's
I am
committed.
totally.
He's all in. He's
I'm-
got a ticket.
I'm committed. I'm all in.
You
and
got
I
that phone call.
Zwarog behind me. So,
He has dirt stuck in his ear from that phone call with the dirt phone.
And Jacob, you've noticed, by the way, now that you've been handling it, that it is a Russian cavalry saber that you are holding.
Couldn't you? like,
Excellent.
don't you want to run up to Poppy? Like I could run up to
Ike?
Marshman and try to get some recognition from them. I mean, we were both told that they died a while ago, sort of under normal circumstances. So
That's
like-
true.
that could be crazy, or it could be that they didn't, and we might want to try to rescue them before advancing, right? If they didn't
Only
want
you
to
can
die,
save is
and they're
yourself.
trapped.
How far are we away from
The closest
people-
exit.
no, from the people we recognize?
Probably 12 people in down the row.
So it would be like an awkward,
only-
like, excuse me,
Excuse me.
sorry, excuse me, excuse me.
We've all done that.
Yeah.
I can shove my butt in a couple people's faces. And,
Ooh, ooh.
I'm
It's
sorry,
yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. No. Sit down. Jason has
He has taken the choice seat. There were 3 seats. One was the
Right.
best, and he's taken that
The
one.
middle one right there.
And so we're getting told to take our
Sorry,
seats
Dad.
and watch the show, right?
Yeah.
Why do we have any reason to believe it's gonna?
I think I would. So here's what I'm thinking. In the moment, I'd be moving towards my designated seat, but I'd be going, Poppy, Poppy, Poppy. I'd be calling out.
Yeah, and so
Because
you're.
I think I wouldn't help. I wouldn't be able to help myself from seeing that.
So you.
I feel like I couldn't do anything but try
Yeah.
to communicate. with
Puppy.
Marshman. Like you, Poppy, like seeing Poppy, don't you think you'd be like trying to understand what's going on, but also you're not gonna be like, Poppy, I'll see you after the show.
We'll catch that
I mean,
movie.
that's what you did. That's what you did in life, so maybe you would do that in death. But
I mean, it's true. It's a true story.
You're calling out,
don't
and
mean to be
maybe
hurtful.
sort of Poppy and Ike, Poppy, Ike, and you're moving toward the front, and I think for Poppy especially, you are getting closer to a point at which maybe instead of being sort of, because you're going down to front row seats and she's maybe 2 rows back. Getting closer to where she is, and as you're sort of maneuvering around to the front, in the darkness, it's hard to keep track. And you're looking over, and suddenly her seat, it was her seat. It's the one empty seat in the entire row in this theater, other than the ones you're heading towards, except for this thick puddle of red oil that is just sitting pooled in the seat. And you see it sort of seemingly recede and disappear, like it's evaporating or sinking into the seat, and then it comes back out, it sinks back in, almost like it's breathing. And the music is coming to a is starting to crest. You know, whatever this intermission that's taking place appears to be coming to an end. Do you sit?
I don't know. I think I'm taking my seat. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else to do.
Well, it could be interpreted either way, but I do feel like if it turned into a red blob, then maybe it's just an illusion, and it's not indicative of a better course of action. So,
Yeah.
not to be analytical too much, but
No, I'm with you. Makes sense.
Whatever
I
makes
mean, you
it
were
easier
headed
for
toward
you.
your seat anyway. I'm just trying to rationalize as I head toward my seat. Ike, Marshman, or Blob? I'm gonna.
Catch you later, Blob.
Yeah.
So you sit in the seats, you join Jacob in the seat, and the orchestral music wraps up, comes to a close with a big, loud flourish, and you're waiting for a moment in the quiet. Bale, by the way, is sitting there too, sort of next to you. And the curtain opens, and it's an empty stage behind the curtain. From the side curtain, a small clown wearing a strange, multicolored outfit covered in triangles emerges.
You deserve the small.
The clown mask covers the entire
Plays the one
head
from New York.
of this, the head of this child, and its face is a smile that exposes these geometric teeth. The eyes are black slits, and the clown pauses, and an unseen orchestra begins to play a strange looping dirge interspersed with a relentless drum. And the clown whips out this paper dragon that it has on the end of a string and begins to make these geometric shapes in the air. As it dances, I'd like everyone to give me alertness checks.
Oh, so close. Nice. Go team.
Yep.
Oh man.
So
I mean, in our defense, it's very distracting, all this crap going on. I mean,
It's true.
So-
apparently I'm almost 100% distracted.
you feel this light mist on your cheeks as you're sitting, and you feel, before you see, this thin aerosol-like reddish mist that seems to be creeping up from the audience toward the stage like a faint cloud. And as the paper dragon trails behind the clown, then whips through the air, drawing these patterns, it appears to be cutting through the mist, causing it to vanish as if absorbing it. And Bale turns to you and whispers, Don't get its attention. Wait for the end. I'll tell you when it's ready. And the music goes on, and you aren't sure how long you're stuck in this looping performance. But the music does rise to a crescendo suddenly, and then, just as suddenly, stops. The lights go out on the stage in the theater, and the already dark theater is now all black. Until the security lights, the generator lights, click on with a whirring backstage. And you see from the light that's sort of reflected out onto the stage that the clown has disappeared and is no longer there. And you look around and the audience is gone. There's no liquid in the seats. And Timothy Bale turns and he says, "This is our chance. Come on." And he begins to creep up onto the stage.
I follow him.
We gotta go, man. We gotta go.
Like hedging my bets.
So Bale goes up, and you see that he's approaching to the right of the stage, behind the curtain, that this child-sized clown is sort of sprawled on the ground.
Oh God.
And it appears to be smaller than before, like the size of a toddler. The paper dragon next to it seems huge in comparison. And its stark whiteness, like all but glows in the dim light of the backstage lamps. Bale grabs the paper dragon and he drags it away from the clown, but keeping a very close watch on it. And then he rips the dragon open. And inside there's this thermos-sized glass container filled with the deep red oil that you've been seeing. And he twists the top off this canister, and he looks at you three, and he says, "The Patsu is the way out." And he takes a quick drink of the liquid,
God.
and then hands it over to you, Willow. And
I thought we learned our lesson about eating and drinking this stuff, man.
he
I don't have any bugs in it.
It's true.
hands it to you, and suddenly he vanishes like a photographic trick. Like he was there and just poof, like from one frame to another, he's just gone. And you're holding this canister, and you notice that it feels lighter to you. You realize the liquid is sort of shrinking to the bottom, like vanishing to the bottom, and then reappearing and draining and reappearing in like this odd, like lung-like rhythm. And I'd like you all to make alertness checks for me.
Oh, that went
That
so.
was exactly, that went great last time.
All right, Jacob. Perfect. This is great because
Perfect.
Willow, you're the only one standing there with this canister who sees that the clown is standing up. And it cocks its head at you and then begins to shuffle in your direction in this strange sort of dance that's difficult to follow, like twitching unnaturally. and your skin begins to crawl with instinctive, deathly terror. Something about the perspective isn't right, and this like toddler-sized clown appears to be the size of a tall man by the time it sort of breaks onto the stage past the curtain. And it seems to be continuing to grow as it shuffles towards you.
Drink the damn juice.
Oh, actually, Liz, we can't hear
Can't
you.
hear you. We haven't heard you for like a minute or two. Luckily, you're very evocative, so we get the gist of it. But
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can
yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you
Oh
now.
my god, it's
We can
this
hear you
stupid headphone button.
now. Oh, I have one of those. Yeah, that's mute. Oh.
I thought you were maybe talking, but then I'm like, I don't hear her on my headset, but I thought I heard you
Okay,
upstairs.
You're
I've
like
been,
she's
I've been
turned into a
shouting
mime. She's
for
turned
3
into a
straight
mime.
minutes
That's
that I
fine.
was drinking. What did you think this was? I mean,
So,
thanks for finally telling me that you couldn't hear.
yeah, of
No, it was
course.
entertaining for like the first 5 minutes.
So, what I want you to do is make a luck roll for me.
Okay, you can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Sorry, what's that?
Pardon me?
You said luck.
Yeah.
Okay. I was shouting that I didn't have time for my skin to crawl because I was drinking that liquid lung.
Yeah, we were like drinking it right to the bottom. Like,
Yeah.
You attempt to
Failed.
take a big old swig of it, and the
Okay, how
container's
can I fail at taking a sip?
and the container's
increased.
empty.
it exhaled at the
It
time you were
exhaled
trying
at just the moment, and you're going to need to wait a beat while it refills. The only problem is you have this clown moving towards you, and now it's 6 feet tall, going on 7, moving across the stage as it lifts its white gloved hands and begins
Mickey Mouse
to
gloves.
Oh.
You at this point, the entirety of the theater itself is black. The only light is coming from backstage. You could try to duck around the clown, or you could just sort of move backwards off the other, stage left instead.
You can ask us for help. We're still there, right?
Hey, what are these clowns doing?
We're like trying to reach for the drink.
Yeah.
oh, got a little drink. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be yelling like giant toddler clown.
That's not a toddler anymore. Are you
But
gonna?
I do think I would be making a move towards sort of the dark cover, I guess, behind.
You
the stage,
begin to
right?
back away, and it lunges toward you. Can you give me an athletics or a dodge?
Oh, God, this is all because I was muted, huh? It would have gone smoother if you heard me shouting earlier.
Right, the jar would have been full at that point.
You said athletics.
Or dodge, whichever you prefer.
As it turns out, when the glass is half empty,
Oh my
Oh,
God! You gotta be
God.
kidding me! This is awful.
just keep in mind, like, this is the world, right? Roll 20 is created by Mom.
Yes, exactly.
It's true.
I programmed this all in. So then let me roll for.
The clown?
Oh no!
Nope. The clown sort of it's shifting, and you are able at least to like barely you maybe its finger sort of catches on a piece of your clothing, and like sandpaper just scraping across the clothes, and the fist, which now is enormous, sort of crumpling over air. But you manage to barely duck out of the way, and there is this passage. This low-ceilinged, darkened room. A shifting passage sort of appears off of that chamber, almost like a puzzle box sliding into a new configuration. This door slides up into view, revealing another blacked out room that holds ropes and pulleys and a door marked by a single naked light bulb. Past the glare of these emergency lights.
What's going on with the liquid lung?
It's filling back up.
Okay, I'm gonna take it. I'd like to try and sip from it again.
Yeah. Let's see. You go ahead and this time you're able to take a pull off of it, and it tastes like liquid ash, dry in your mouth, and burns down your throat. Make a sand check for me.
It's gonna go very smoothly.
You're due, right? You're totally due. Oh,
Fail, yeah.
Oh my god!
You.
It's a night of failure, guys.
Who were you going to hand the jar to?
Just whoever's closest to me, whoever's there.
Jacob and Jack make luck rolls.
Aha!
is it lucky?
Ooh.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jacob's definitely closer.
Ooh.
Oh no!
I reach for it and I trip and bang my head on the concrete or something.
So Jack, you are distracted because you notice that the ceiling above you all is semi-transparent, and dozens of out-of-focus people appear to be circling above, dancing a waltz, just feet above your head. So Jacob, you make a Dex times 5 roll for me, please.
Dex times 5.
Dex times 5, yeah.
I'm gonna pull that off.
Should be a...
Alright, there we go. It's a dexterity roll.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
So, the jar, the canister is offered to you, and you're reaching out to grab it,
Whoa.
and Willow disappears, just as Bale did, and the container clatters to the ground.
Oh,
Make a luck roll for me.
this better not be.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the container sort of rolls off more in the direction of the clown, who is clearly focused on the container, and is sort of picking up speed. Is also hunched over, crammed into this smaller space behind the stage. He's sort of folding himself into it, and yet it still fits. You're going to need to, or somebody is going to need to get this jar is rolling in the direction of the clown right now.
Okay, I chase after the jar.
All right.
Try to dive at it to, get it away from the clown.
Yeah.
I'm willing to attack the clown to try to help him if that makes a difference.
Yeah. So Jacob, do you envision this as sort of an athletics thing, as sort of a what sort of move would you say?
Counting.
Yeah. Right. We're just trying to use your dex again. You can go with another dex roll. That'd be fine.
Yeah, I'll just go with the dexterity. Can't fail me twice, right?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Oh snap!
All right.
You shattered.
So, and Jack, what were you gonna do? You were doing something.
I was just trying to help him by tackling the clown, basically.
Tackling it.
Or yeah, trying to
Grab its
fight
leg.
fight the clown off of the bottle and
Yep.
Jacob.
You just with your fists.
I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah.
If I can grab anything
You still have a
nearby
gun, don't you?
to attack it with, then I would, but I don't really remember.
You had a gun on in your sock.
Ankle, yeah. I mean, I'm such a smooth hostage rescue person that as I lunge, I reach down to check and see if it's there. But given how everything's been going, I don't have high hopes.
You reach down and you feel a familiar shape around your ankle.
Sure. So the first
Oh man.
instance, I smoothly bring it up and try to fire point blank at the clown's face.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and give me a check with that. Firearms. What we're looking at, let's see. Yeah, firearms.
Oh, there it is.
Boom.
So you pop off a handful of shots from this holdout weapon, and it's the clown is in no way like there's no stopping power. There's no especially the caliber of the weapon, but just the immensity of this thing. It's like shooting a cement wall that's been wrapped in silk, and every time one of the bullets, and each of them does find a purchase, but each time one of them hits the clown, there's this spool of bright red silk that spills out, and it pauses in this single-minded determination to get the canister, though, and does turn its mask to you and cocks its head and begins to reach out suddenly with its hand. So Jacob, you managed to grab the canister. Give me a luck roll.
Come on, dude.
Lady and I.
Go.
Or actually, at this
go.
point, give me a sand check instead.
Sanity.
Give me an inebriation roll.
Boom.
Yeah. So you take a big gulp of the patsu, and same as Willow, it's this ashy, fiery smokiness in your mouth. But you don't immediately disappear. You feel a tug at the back of your head, but it's almost like you're resisting it unconsciously. And so you have the canister. You see Jack is sort of in the midst of being attacked by this clown. What do you do?
Take out my Mark 1 Svarog and throw it at the clown.
Yeah. Give me a melee weapons plus 20.
Plus 20. Ooh, we were generous tonight.
It's a big target. And it's a Swarog.
Oh, missed it by 3.
Ooh.
So it sort of flies through the air and like catches on part of the clown's silk clothing and tears it open easily and then clatters to the ground. And as you look, you see that inside the silk costuming of this clown, there is a writhing wall of screaming faces, just melting on top of each other, blood red.
Awesome.
And you, Jack, if you could give me a dodge or athletics test. What do you do with the canister, Jacob, while Jack does this?
Give it a little kiss and roll it over to Jack.
Okay.
And then
I missed it by 1.
So Jack, you, the clown, wraps its enormous hand around your arm, and its grip now goes from about your shoulder down to about midpoint of your arm. And roll a D100 for me.
roll.
Oh,
I like my
man.
arm. I like my arm. Sorry, it's been a while. I do the roll.
There's like a,
Oh yeah, /R 1D100.
Yep.
The space. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
He tears off 88% of my arm.
You stand
Still
there.
got 12% left. It's not
And
much.
you feel it is the most intense sort of pain on your arm, and you see what kind of shirt would you be wearing? Maybe like a
Muscle shirt.
muscle shirt. Okay, sure. All along your arm, the bare skin there. This red oil is being extracted, like forcibly extracted, just pulling out of these separating wounds along your arm. Like if Dr. Friend was doing an extraction up there with the syringe, all of a sudden you would prefer that as the method versus what is happening right now. And these wounds are weeping the patsu, and which is pooling and being absorbed into the clown's glove. But you look over and this canister is rolled over to you, and you're looking and you see Jacob has just rolled it in your direction, and Jacob then goes pop and disappears.
I wave right to like go away. Though.
Yeah.
Oh.
See ya.
See ya. So Jack, if you could give me a luck roll.
Come on, man, you got this. This has not been our night. Oh,
So
man.
Jack,
How many successes have we had?
How many?
you're being held by the clown in this tight grip. The bottle is sort of slightly out of reach, and you're trying to like grab at it with your fingers, but the clown is just holding you, and there's absolutely no give. And you see a sort of flash of color off in the distance, and you look out and you realize that the inky blackness of the theater, it's as if it's this uncrossable expanse, almost like you can see the twinkling of stars in the distance. But across this expanse there is a ballroom filled with hundreds of masked revelers. And even at this distance, you can see a woman in a blue dress wearing this masquerade mask in the shape of a cat. cat's face. And she puts up her hand. And somebody in a tuxedo sort of steps up next to her. And she turns. And they both look at you. And they beckon. And the clown's grip tightens. Jack, if you could make another D100 roll for me.
Oh, man.
So,
I don't like that Bob was like,
the clown's grip tightens. Your arm is crushed. The bones like grind together as its grip increases, and the blood and the patsu flow and intermingle. And you see this red oil continue to be absorbed, and it begins to reach out with its other hand toward your other shoulder. Make another luck roll for me.
was this the one that when you fail it goes up a point? Are we supposed to be doing that?
At the end of the session.
Oh!
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
It's like the game just wants to clarify
You did.
what's supposed to happen.
The vista of the ballroom, the revelers, the woman in blue, the man in the tuxedo with the silver half-moon mask. He's getting closer and closer, floating in from across the distance. And the sounds of the party, you can hear the chatter, the clinking of glasses, and the music being played in the background. And you don't know how, but they are just getting closer. They're closer, 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 until the stage is right there. You can see that let's put this on here. Where'd this go? You hear the music, and lightly, with a light step, the woman in the blue dress hops across to the stage and begins to walk towards you, and the man in the tuxedo hops across as well, in his silver moon mask sort of floating off. And they're getting closer and closer as the clown's hand grips your other shoulder, and your sort of fingertips feebly pushing against the glass of the jar as it sort of spins. And they come up to you, or standing next to you, as you feel the pull of the patsu erupting from these sores up and down your arm, and the grinding of the bones on the other side. And the girl takes off her mask, and it's Abigail. The man takes off his half-moon mask, and it's Vic. And you are crushed by the hands of this clown, and find yourself being welcomed in your fresh tuxedo, handed a champagne glass, and a small plate of hors d'oeuvres, and you feel this mask being pulled over your face from the back. Somebody tying it off. Somebody slapping your back. Jack, my boy, we thought you'd never come. Come on, join the dance. And you join the party. Willow and Jacob. You each wake up in the feeble sunlight coming through a dusty window of an empty house. All around you, no furniture, just dust, dead insects on the floor have been sealed in. And there on the floor is this enormous symbol that's been etched into the hard wood of the floor. An enormous circle. The letters Malphas and some sort of occult symbology inside of it. And you wake up dead center of this circle, the two of you. And you wait. And Jack doesn't appear.
And there were two. Well,
Jack! Jack, come back! Jack!
Help, help, help! Now, Chris, you don't need to worry.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry. There is another character ready for you. I know.
I'm so attached to Jack.
I know.
No,
I know.
Jack!
You know, you can't deny the 100. You
it was
can't.
a massive fumble.
Ugh.
I do actually believe I'd love to go back to the footage, but I seem to recall that maybe our last 100 was with Vic, or at least it was like an epic 99 fumble or something like that.
It was like the worst possible point for the fumble. I think you were maybe trying to give me a little bit of the opportunity of the out, like it wasn't a done deal, and
And Jack did it.
And then, but on the plus side, you did find Vic, which is very important.
you know who I'm gonna be? I'm gonna be Harry from Speed. You know that.
Yes,
Got to continue the.
Yeah, you do.
exactly. Yeah, no, it is
Or-
never. What's that?
Am I gonna be Jera Stark? Should I call myself Jera Stark for this?
That's-
next
That's
portion?
right. You should switch over and be your alias for the remaining portion. But yes,
So Jacob, I just want you to know I sacrificed myself trying to get you out. I threw myself out that.
it's true.
I tried to distract him with the sword, but I mean, I did lose my Swarog in the process. So.
That's true.
Oh, your little clay.
Buddy knife.
It was a cavalry saber, damn it.
Just any putty knife, okay?
That was Svarog's. Yes.
Oh, Jack.
I know.
Oh,
I
Jack.
know. As I remarked before, it gives me no pleasure.
Yeah, it does.
Ooh,
It gives
it rings
me no
so
pleasure.
hollow now when it's
The universal GM sign of.
Okay,
No
let's see
pleasure.
without the smirk. Come on, let's work. Come
Yeah,
on.
serious face.
It gives you no pleasure.
it gives me no pleasure.
Okay, that's creepy. I just want you to know, Alyssa, it's creepy.
Very creepy.
Gives me no pleasure.
I don't want to see that face downstairs. Don't make
Um,
that face.
I'm not making that
Is
face.
is Vale?
It's time
with
for
us?
bed. It gives me no pleasure.
No pleasure to tell you.
What were you saying, Jason?
Is Timothy Vale with us?
Oh, Timothy Bale.
Hey, you deserve him. You two deserve him.
He so he's not in the room when you awake.
Oh my God, what are the conditions for like having another character? Am I gonna be like 6'5", like crazy, like or the 5'1", Mr. Wild? I mean,
No,
we can
don't
be
worry.
Like another character, right? We don't have to be a creepy NPC.
No. No creepy NPC for you. Don't worry. Yeah, I'll connect with you because I have some fine ideas that we can work in.
Although I mean, Abigail and was it Vic, welcomed me, so I do feel a little reassured. Like she was trying to help us, right? So
Right?
I mean,
Question.
you're
Right.
at a party, you know, like
I got a tuxedo on.
tuxedo.
Plenty of
That
jelly
was
bug
nice.
appetizers. Good
Oh,
mackerel.
God. No, I'm not. My possessed NPC is not going to eat any bugs.
Try
Rob's
the
Rob's
mackerel.
possessed NPC keeps trying to force it on you. Just try it. Just try it.
He's making the universal gesture for
No
don't
bugs.
you dare.
Too full. Too full.
And then all of a
It's
sudden,
delicious.
my arms are like
Yeah.
pulled up by the strings.
And then pop it
Oh,
right in.
God.
Yes. Well, Jack, we will bid adieu to Jack, but I'm sure it will not be the last time we see him. But Chris, we will find a new, most excellent character for you.
Most excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, does that mean I'm not going to be Harry? I'm going to be the other character from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
You're gonna be Station. Is that from that's from the second one though? Yeah. No, you can.
I haven't seen the third one yet, so don't.
No, don't worry. No, yes. Yeah, no, we'll work that out. Thank you guys for hanging in there for the. I wanted to
Man,
to
this
sort of
was
come to a
intense.
little bit of a end of this one piece, so that you can head.
I like
into
how
the
it was
next.
it was somewhat of a toss up as to who it was going to be. It really seemed like it was going to be Jacob. There was maybe a very brief point where it seemed like maybe it could have been Willow, and then I mean I rolled through and succeeded in being the one.
I know. We're gonna put him up on the Hall of Records. Yeah.
Jack like a candle in the wind.
Candle in the wind.
Okay, don't Elton John.
we're gonna commemorate you. In song.
You-
No,
Tomorrow,
that's not how Jack would want to go down.
Rosario's gonna be really intrigued when an edible arrangement shows up with condolences for Jack, and you're like, it's a long story.
Let's
a
just
lot.
The
do
chocolate
it.
covered one, like
Yeah.
the classy one.
Top
That's
top
all-
shelf.
do they have like Jello pyramid?
I was just gonna say, and a couple bugs sort of stuck on. Yeah,
Oh, that's gonna be homemade. We'll make you a homemade
Yeah.
one.
homemade cicada.
Jello molds.